Hi everyone, welcome to today's Tech Tip Tuesday, episode 13. Today we're going to be talking about data migration. If anyone has any questions throughout, please in your GoToWebinar control panel, use the questions tab. Shoot your question over. I will either interrupt Howard or wait for the end. If it's relevant to the content we're on, we'll go ahead and get it answered right away. Otherwise, we'll definitely get to it at the end. So Howard is going to talk about some example use cases of data migration and some other high-level stuff. So I think this will be good episode for everyone today. So Howard, without further ado, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, good morning if you're in the Los Angeles area, or good afternoon if you're East Coast, or good evening if you're in other parts of the world. Today we're going to talk about data migration, and we'll give you a couple tips on what to do and how to do it, getting data in and out of the cloud. So the main thing is when you're talking about migrating data between on on-site into the cloud, or from the cloud to on-site, you really need to plan it. A lot of times you'll have terabytes of data, even petabytes of data that you want to move back and forth, and so you need to plan it correctly. So you have to look at it. It's going to take a long time, and do we do it over the network? That's going to be bandwidth, or do we, sort of sneaker net it? So if you remember what sneaker net was before we had networks, so you copy it on a device, run it over, and then to another computer, and then go ahead and install it that way. That process still works with what we call is data migration utilities. So, for example, we offer a service where we'll ship you a QNAP, and you can upload up to 30 terabytes of data onto the QNAP, and then with the QNAP, you ship it to our data center, and we install all the software or all the files for you. So that saves a lot of time, just in terms of bandwidth and also just processing. Now I have a spreadsheet I'll share with you in a minute on what the processing times has and the type of options we have for migrating. I'll show that, and at the end of the resources I give you a link to it so you can download that for your own use. So if you are planning to do it over the network, what you want to do is transfer large files. So if you remember last week, we looked at latency and how long it takes to do I/O over just a millisecond type of network connection. Now imagine that is 20 milliseconds, or if you're doing a cross country, it could be 80 milliseconds. So what you want to do is you want to minimize the number of I/Os. So the best way to do that is to package up the files you want to transfer, and then go ahead and copy them over the network that way. A good thing to do is if you're going to install an application, take the DVD or the application and create an ISO. So you can. There's a lot of utilities to rip the DVD and convert it to an ISO format, and then you can copy that file up into the cloud directly using some of these the tools. Also compress your files. So if you have a lot of folders, a lot of files, compress them. Do a tar backup, local, compress them, and then just ship it over, and then untar it, and then that'll save a lot of time of transferring the files itself. And of course, I mentioned the migration appliance. It's copy the files and ship it to the data center, and we handle that service. Now, some of the tools of the trade that we use is basically a secure shell. And if you're not familiar with that, it's basically a socket layer that's encrypted between your local computer and also your remote computer. So, for example, if you create an EC2 instance, you will get a key. Basically use that key to log into your instance, and then you create a secure shell between your local computer and the remote computer. So then you would run rsync to copy the files. There's also a secure copy, and SFTP also works. Now, SFTP is pretty interesting, and you can actually mount drives directly onto using that protocol. So there's a protocol or an application called CyberDuck if you're using a Mac. LDOS has another one that I use for mounting drives directly using this SFTP protocol. And if you're also using Microsoft supports basically a drag and drop. So if you bring up a RDP session on your EC2 instance and you're running Microsoft, you can copy files and just drag and drop them into that new RDP, and it copies the data directly as copying from computer to computer. And that's all encrypted through the RDP session. One of the most important things that you want to do is divide and conquer. So if you want to copy all your home folders for your users, copy them in parallel. So don't do like a /home, do an rsync /home. Do it, each user, and then you can run the IOs in parallel, and that's going to give you the best performance. It basically allows multiple IOs to go out, and then you can process the files a lot faster that way. Now for the VPSA, if you want to do any migrating between the VPSA, we have mirroring, and we talked about that in Tech Tip Tuesday number 10, and back up to Object Store Tech Tip number 5. So these are
Howard,
types
just to interrupt you for a second, I just want everyone to know if you have missed an episode, all of them are on our YouTube channel. So if you just go on YouTube and search Zadara Storage or search Zadara Storage Tech Tip Tuesday, we have a whole playlist with every single episode there. So if you need to refer back to one that you missed or need a refresher, they're all there for you.
Yeah, the easiest way to do it was to just YouTube and search for Zadara, and it should be a channel or something.
Yeah, we have our own channel, and then there's a specific Tech Tip Tuesday playlist too. So all organized
perfect.
in there for everyone whenever they need.
Okay, perfect. So these are, the mirroring gives you a way to go from VPSA to VPSA. So for example, if you have a VPSA on site and you want to go to a VPSA in AWS, go ahead and use the mirroring. So the mirroring basically sets up a secure connection between the two, and that will do a compression of, it does an image by image copy or block by block, and it does a complete image of your volume. So that's what you would do, and to get it into, for example, into the cloud. And so on site to the cloud and back and forth, it's fully synchronized. So if you need to go from the cloud back into your OPAS, your on-site VPSA, we manage all that synchronization, so you can have for like a disaster recovery. And of course, we cover that in more detail in number 10. Back up to Object Store. This will give you a way to copy files from any VPSA into Object Store, and then you can mount those files onto another VPSA, and then have all the data migrated. So let me bring up my Excel spreadsheet here. Just give you some options, or show you some options on how to use this one tool. And basically all you do is you specify how many gigabytes you want to upload. So for example, if I have 500 gigabytes I want to upload, you can get a whole list of options here on how fast your source is. So if you have a 10 megabit upload, this will give you, it'll take about 111 hours to upload that. Now if you're going to use SFTP, which is over SSH, there are compression levels here that will cut the time in half, but still you expect that to run about 2.5 days or so. Now we offer another capability where over the public IP we can mount to iSCSI volume, and then from your local machine you would have to create like a ZFS or Btrfs, and then you can compress those. Since it's done at the block level, it's done very fast. You can do the same thing about a third of the time over that, because you're going to get some dedupe on ZFS, and then you'll get some compression on Btrfs. And of course, the times here, if you want to look at mirroring or copying between VPSAs, this will give you an idea. So, for example, we have a use case where we do a lot of mirroring from the West Coast to the East Coast, and that gives you an idea that if you have a 500 gigabyte volume, it's going to go from, if you look at East 1 to West, it's going to take about 5 hours to do the initial mirroring of that data, and then if you have 5 terabyte, it's going to take about 10 times that. So if you ever want to know how long it's going to take, this will give you an idea. And then of course we have some things for the OPAS. This is just for there should be a 10 gig interface here, and if you happen to have your front end hooked up to the OPAS, which is a 40 gig, it's going to be a lot faster, of course. But in most cases, it's going to be a 10 gig interface to the front end on the OPAS, but we do offer 40 gig ports on the OPAS too. So this gives you an example of how long it'll take, and this is what you do for planning. And of course, the QNAP here is if you want to copy the data over, you can look at the cost for bandwidth and the amount of time it will take to upload the files. So there are a couple utilities here. Let me bring up, I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, we can see
this
it.
is, can you see that?
Yes.
Perfect. This is the PuTTY suite. The PuTTY, if you're not familiar, is a SSH client. It's fully supported. The guy who developed it, he just gave it away, and it's just public domain. A very good utility if you haven't never used it. And I already have my keys loaded in an agent, so I don't have to retype all my keys. But you could do a PS copy, for example, and then if I want to give it compression, and then I give it my let's see if I can remember my IP address. So here I have Office ISO. So this is Office 2007. I want to install it in the cloud, for example. I already created the ISO, and then I'll just do a copy to and basically if that works out, it should start copying. And so you can see how fast it's doing. It's doing about a megabyte a second. We have a pretty good connection here, and of course, hopefully it doesn't kill our webinar here. So you can see that. And of course, if you do it if you change the parameters, if you do the Office after that, it's from source to destination. You could do it, pull things out. That would give you both ways. And then the C is for compression. You can do it with and without. Usually you'll get a little bit slower performance without the compression. Or, well, it looks like it's going a little bit faster. So usually the ISOs are pretty compressed anyways. And the other thing is you can mount this. Actually, the EC2 instance, you can mount that as a drive. You can use CyberDuck, and I use LDOS, and basically it just shows up as a drive. And if you happen to put a link pointer in, let's see if I can bring that back up. So if you do a link pointer, this would be to that same EC2 instance we just did the secure copy. If you put a link pointer in on your main drive or your home directory, and you point it to your Zadara storage there, so it actually, you can copy the drives or the data directly onto the array, so you don't have to do a copy to EC2 instance and then to Zadara. You can just copy it directly to the /big drive on here. So that's better FS. And then I'll show you, this is a a petabyte volume that we're running right here as a test and using Btrfs. So you can go directly into the drive itself. So those are a couple of examples. I don't know if there's any other questions on here, but let me show you a couple of things. If you want to download the spreadsheet I just showed you, there's a cloud migration time. That's this is an XLS file, so if you have Excel or I guess any type of Office suite, you should be able to do that. The LDOS is the SFTP net drive. You'd use that for Windows. And if you happen to have a Mac, cyber.io, your Zadara storage directly using the SFTP protocol.
So Howard, we did have one question come in. I didn't want to interrupt you at the way beginning, but you had mentioned the rsync as a tool to migrate files. Can you use Robocopy?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Robocopy does work, and what you do is you mount the drive. For example, you'd have SFTP. I've done this many times, from Irvine into my the same drive, the petabyte drive I just showed you. So, you mount that as a drive, and then you copy it to that subfolder called /big drive, and then everything gets migrated directly to that particular VPSA.
Awesome. Okay, and I did want to point out for the I did send over the link to the YouTube channel playlist, the Tech Tip Tuesday playlist. I put that in the chat, so those of you that are interested, you don't have to go and search. You can just click there and bookmark it for later, or watch when we hang up here. Also, in the chat, I just sent over the link to the bit.ly here, Ask Me Anything. Right now we're running a promotion where if you submit a topic for Howard to discuss on a Tech Tip Tuesday eventually, if we choose your topic, we'll send you a $25 Starbucks gift card. Last week, we covered someone's topic and sent him a card, and now he's drinking some coffee on us. So if anyone has something they'd like to learn, please let us know, and we'll reward you with some Starbucks money. So we'd love to know what you guys are curious about. The more questions you give us, the better, because, we want to cater this to you. So as always, Howard's inbox is open, howard@zadarastorage.com. Or if you want to tweet at Howard either during the session or after with another idea, he's on Twitter @HowardY. So I think that does it for today, Howard, unless you have anything else.
That's it for today. Appreciate everyone stopping by and giving us a way to improve your performance and with migration today.
Great. And I did see some people joined us a little later. We will have the recording up on YouTube within the next day or so. Anything on tap for next week yet, or are we still working on that?
We're still working on that. I'm still hoping for somebody will put a submission in, and then they'll get a cup of coffee on us.
Great. Okay, well, we hope to see you next week. As soon as we get a submission or put on a topic, you guys will be the first to know. So hope to see you next week. Thanks for joining us today and enjoy the rest of your week.